Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Ashley Kessler, and today I will be sharing my Pecha Kucha on the play How I Learned to Drive by Paula Vogel. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the short slideshow. How I Learned to Drive was first brought to the stage in March of 1997. It was premiered at the Off-Broadway Vineyard Theater. Paula Vogel received a Pulitzer Prize for drama for this play. But we'll get into that later. Let's start with introducing the characters. As the play begins, we are introduced to Lil Bit, which is the main character. Lil Bit is a teenage girl who is ultimately trying to find herself. But there is a big distraction. Not a boyfriend, you say. Not a girlfriend either. But it's her uncle. That's the big distraction. Lil Bit's Uncle Peck, who is married to her biological aunt, has been causing problems in her life since she was young. She doesn't have a father figure, and Peck's the closest to it. So she's very protective of him, because he's had a past alcohol problem in the past, so she wants to make sure he's still alive. But this play deals with a lot of issues of manipulation, pedophilia, and incest. Throughout the play, Peck does very absurd things to Lil Bit. 1, he orders her alcohol when she's underage at a restaurant, and 2, he touches her inappropriately when she's on the wheel. In this image, Peck is taking pictures of Lil Bit, and she didn't realize that they were for porn magazines for the future. Also, when Lil Bit was going off to college, Peck would send her letters counting off the days till she's 18. The characters in this play are often described as male, female, and teenage Greek chorus, rather than their actual names. But the nicknames based on the characters are wild, based on genitalia. For example, her alcoholic mother is Titless Wonder, and her misogynistic grandfather is Big Papa. Lil Bit lives with her grandparents, as well as her mother, aunt, and Uncle Peck. She's the youngest, so the attention is always on her, which sometimes makes her feel humiliated, especially when her grandfather talks about the size of her breasts. Lil Bit's mother and grandmother often talk to her about sexual intercourse and have very different views on it, which makes Lil Bit very confused. The script is a memory play told completely out of chronological order. For example, in some scenes, Lil Bit's a teenager, in others, she's a young child. The first scene takes place in a 1969 parking lot in Maryland. The play is ultimately between the years 1960 and 1970-ish. The ending scene of the play is when Lil Bit's the youngest, which is 10 years old. Instead of Vogel taking a basic approach in her play and making all the scenes in chronological order, she decides to spread it out a little bit. And this means that the audience and the readers have to pay extra close attention because the play is going to randomly start switching scenes, and randomly Lil Bit will be older and younger, so you really need to stay focused. As a reader, I personally had a few problems as well as a success rate throughout the play. I personally felt really bad for Lil Bit and how she didn't have that many people to rely on, and she's been having so many issues. But at the end, I was super happy when she stood up to her Uncle Peck after all these years of being trapped. Took her 18 years, but she did it, and I was proud. You go, girl. As I was reading the play, it really changed my mental state, and realizing how bad I felt for Lil Bit, as well as other people who have to deal with this abuse out there. I know Lil Bit's not the only one who has to deal with this abuse, but it's just so hard to talk to someone about it. So I believe that it's really important to speak up for yourself and be confident, because your mental health is so important. As I shift back to the playwright, Vogel has had an interesting life, and she's almost 70 and has earned multiple awards for her work. A few of her plays won the Obie Award for Best Play, but her best-known play is this one. If you were paying attention, it's How I Learned to Drive, and it earned a Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1998, which is a huge honor in theater. Vogel is also Ivy League educated, as she earned her master's degree and PhD at Cornell University. She actually graduated from Cornell not too long ago, in 2016, as it took her over 40 years to complete her doctoral thesis. This shows how hardworking Vogel is and how much time and motivation she put into it. John Simon once remarked that Paula Vogel had more awards than a black sofa collects lint, which is a pretty good compliment if I should say so myself. In 2013, Vogel was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame. She's married to a professor at Brown University, and the two both have studied at a Ivy League school, so they're both very smart. Shifting back to the play, it has evolved a lot over the years. The play had been presented by the Vineyard Theater in February to April of 1997. They also moved to the Century Theater in 1997 after that. The play also had some famous actors featured in it, such as Molly Ringwald, Norbert Leo Butz, and Mary Louise Parker. The play also has traveled to multiple theaters across the country, such as Center Stage in Baltimore in 1998, the Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. in 1999, the Mark Taper Forum in L.A. in 1998, the Schreiber Theater in New York City in 2006, and the play was also produced in Spanish in 2008. The play was set to premiere on Broadway in previews in March of 2020 and officially in April, with Mary Louise Parker and David Morse reprising their roles from off-Broadway a couple years ago. But unfortunately, that amazing performance didn't happen due to the COVID-19 pandemic that has taken over the world, so hopefully the cast can reunite soon. Some theatrical aspects that brought outside audience into the performance was the set. In some of the performances, the set used really awesome abstract art that looked very 3D and unique. For example, in this performance, the road looked very real and looked as if the car was directly on it, and this type of stuff can attract the audience. According to the article on Chicago Tribune, it talks about how Uncle Peck was teaching Lilbert how to drive, but the sexual abusive encounters usually happen when he does teach her. As he gives her the tools for adult freedom behind the wheel, he's also destroying her innocence, which is extremely powerful for people who have went through this before. This play also stands for the Me Too movement. The Me Too movement is a group of people who have been sexually abused or harassed in their lifetime, and they really work together to show that they are stronger than their abuser. There was an article on the Washington Post about this and the comparison between the Me Too movement and the play. That was the end of my presentation. I want to thank you all for listening and watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.